Hey guys, HTV here. Now, as we are all aware, Game Freak don't just create a perfectly designed Pokemon out of nowhere. You know, it takes a long time, it takes a lot of ideas, loads of different designs, and it could be ages before they're actually happy with the finished product. And back in the days of Pokemon Red and Blue, Pokemon Gold and Silver, and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, quite a handful of Pokemon designs were changed before being released into the full games. With that being said, today's video goes over all of the early designs of Pokemon that were actually changed before finally making it to the real games at the end of production. Like mentioned before, all of these designs are of Pokemon from the games Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, and Ruby and Sapphire, and so then there's nothing from 4th gen onwards that I've found anyway. If you know of any other designs that weren't in the video that you believe should have been, then please leave them in the comment section below after watching the video. I'd love to see if you guys have come across something that I haven't. But with all of that being said, let's get into the video, and I really hope that you enjoy. Okay, so the first Pokemon whose design was eventually changed was Weedle, and it was originally called Kokana, and it looks just like a white worm with a top hat to me straight away, with like a snowman belly. So obviously went a very long way to eventually becoming Weedle, but this was one of the many sprites shown on Game Freak's official Japanese website in 1997. And it is literally just an early version of Weedle. Its debut was in the Pokemon Red and Green beta, so not even Pokemon Red and Blue yet. This was back in Red and Green days when Green was out. So that is Weedle's design. Like I said, it doesn't. Obviously, none of these Pokemon are going to have color, but the designs in general just look really, really funny. And so I think this video is going to be quite funny to go through. Next up, we have Kusanagi. I don't know, but this is the early design of Kakuna. So I'm pretty sure the whole Weedle evolution line was just kind of scrapped, and for good reason. This thing looks, I don't even know, it just looks scary. Where is its face? It looks like it has whiskers and big hands. I really don't know, but it also was on the Japanese website in 1997. And it was then obviously replaced by Kakuna, because I'm glad they did. It just doesn't look like something that should have been in a child's game. It looks like something from a nightmare. And then the Kusanagi evolution was obviously the very early design of Beedrill, although it does kind of have like resemblances to Ledian, with the fact that it has all of the fists and stuff with the arms, but it also looks like it has the body of a cockroach. So I don't really know what direction they were going with this. The face is still a mystery to me, but hey, it looks like just, I guess, scary again. So I'm glad that they dropped these 3 Pokemon and decided to replace it with Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill, because these Pokemon just should not be alive or allowed to ever be alive, because they just look. I mean, look at the boots that he's wearing. It just looks like a, I don't even know. It looks like the boss out of Croc, if anyone's ever played those games. But there'll be a picture on your screen right now of what I'm talking about. But it's just funny. I know what I mean. I don't know. But hey, that's the Beedrill evolution line. And next up we have a Poliwag, who look, he has kind of like the weirdest looking tail, and then just like perfectly shaped feet with dots on them. The face looks scary as hell. It looks like something that would again be in a child's nightmare. The tail, for me, I just can't get over. It has such a huge difference between Poliwag's final form, but it's just scary. The tail, I just can't get over it. It just looks like a little flick, but obviously that was changed into a big actual tadpole tail when Poliwag was released. Next up is Neosuka, who was the early version of Poliwrath. So I think originally it was just going to be Poliwag evolving into Poliwrath with no Poliwhirl, but they obviously added that in later on. This Poliwrath actually is wearing a crown, which is similar to the King's Rockness, which you need to evolve Poliwhirl into Politoed. So I don't know if they went back to the idea of the crown in Gold and Silver, but again, these were all featured in the Pokemon Red and Green beta. But Poliwrath is kind of, obviously the form that we have now. He's big, he's tough, you know, he's ready to show down. This thing looks like it's pretty lazy, and it's just laughs at things or something, I don't know. But his eyes look kind of like a happy mood kind of thing. But I do like the addition of the crown, though. I think that's a really nice touch. But that is Poliwrath's early design. Next we have Roku, who was the first design of Rhydon. And what some of you may not already know is Rhydon was technically the first Pokemon ever created, which was created in Capsule Monsters. But not much is known about the Pokemon, although except that its name roughly means rock. It was shown being released from a monster capsule, who obviously has features similar to Rhydon, but obviously shrunken down to fit in the ball. So like I say, this was introduced in capsule monsters. And yeah, Rhydon was one of the first to ever be created. That is also why there are so many Rhydon statues in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green and Pokemon Red and Blue, such as like in the Cinnabar Mansion and stuff like that. Just as like a nice little Easter egg to Rhydon, the first, Pokemon ever created. But yeah, that is Roku Rhydon's original design. Next up we have Dragonair's early design, which is looking kind of scary. I don't know where its face is. I think it's in the top right, but it's not got a huge difference to Dragonair's final design. It again was shown on the website in 1997. It doesn't have the kind of like ball crystal under its head. And it doesn't have like the nice wings on for the ears. It's kind of more like a spiky 3-pointed ear. It has still the long body and the tail, so like I say, not a huge difference between this Pokemon. It does have some sort of like string coming off the back of its head. I don't know what that's supposed to resemble, but it's got that as well. But that is the original design of Dragonair. Next up we have Happer, who is the original design of Chikorita. We're getting some colour now on these designs. These are for the Pokemon Gold and Silver betas, so obviously the designs are going to look a bit more fresh, a bit more colour added, just a nice little bit more of a design for these Pokemon. But Happer's name is actually Leaf in Japanese, and like I said, it is the early version of Chikorita, and it resembles Chikorita without its body and legs. It kind of looks like a jelly thing, kind of like something like out of Digimon, the very pre-forms of Digimon. With obviously still got its leaf though, it's still got the seeds around its neck. In the alpha, its Pokédex number was 152, and it knew the moves Leech Seed, Tackle, and an unknown move called Serene. So Serene was obviously dropped as well. I'm glad that they carried on the design of this Pokemon and ended up with Chikorita, because Chikorita is one of my favorite starter Pokemon. It might not be the best starter Pokemon, but to me it looks like one of the best. I really love the design of it, so I'm really glad that they did carry it on. But it just goes to show that the early designs of Pokemon, they do come a long way. Some of the Pokemon do into their final forms. The next Pokemon on the list is Ledybur. And the early version of Ledybur, its abdomen is black rather than cream coloured. It only has 4 limbs, and it appears to be headless, with its eyes and antennae attached to its body. So I'm glad they carried this on as well. It just looks like a really angry bug without a head. I mean, those eyes look angry, whereas Ledybur looks a little bit more laid back. But the colours are a little bit weird as well, with like the blue on the face and the hands and the legs, well the feet, but the black body obviously got changed to cream when Ledybur's final design happened. But it still kept that it's like Ladybird back, obviously, because it is based on a ladybird. So yeah, but again, this is the early design of Ledybur, and I'm glad that they kept going. Next up we have Marill, who took quite a big change, took a whole colour change. The ears grew, the tail looked different. They are obviously recognisably similar, but they are visually quite different. The pink-purple colour is the main difference, as well as its notably missing large ears. It also sports a thinner body, more resembling a rodent, but does not sport Marill's erratic tail pattern. Though with that being a concept art, small details were most likely not a concern at the time. But obviously, like we say, a huge change from the original design to design of Marill. I don't know what made them change it. Maybe because Marill is, maybe it could have been a psychic type originally, which is why they gave it the pink-purple colour, but then they changed it to a water type, which gave it the blue colour. I don't know, there could be endless reasons, but I do love the design of Marill compared to this one. It did obviously go a long way, and again, this Pokemon made its debut in the Pokemon Gold and Silver beta. Next up we have Girafarig, who got a huge change, huge change, as you can clearly see. The concept art of Girafarig shows the original design featured 2 full-size giraffe heads. It's unknown why the design was changed, but overall it remains mostly similar outside of some colouring differences, except, for the fact that there's another giraffe. The design might be a reference to Girafarig's name being a palindrome, which obviously means it's spelled the same one way as the way backward, like Eevee is a palindrome as well, because it's EEVEE, and then obviously it's that way backward, and Girafarig is the same, so maybe that had some idea with the design, but again, looks incredibly difficult. I just think sending this in battle would have been crazy, because you just have like one giraffe looking at you, one giraffe looking at the opponent. So I'm glad they kind of took off one of the giraffes and put like an actual body on it, because that could have looked a bit scary. Yeah. So next we have Buku, who is the original design of Quillfish. and Buku's name is derived from fugu, the Japanese word for blowfish. The most notable differences between Qwilfish and this pre-release version are obviously the colours and the shape of the tail. Notably, the shape of the tail does appear slightly similar to the length of the tail in Qwilfish's Generation 2 Black Sprite. However, this was just an error. No other generation showed Qwilfish's tail that short. Like I say, the big differences are, the eyes are wide in this version instead of Qwilfish's quite angry look. The body itself is kind of like turned. The fins, the original design has fins, whereas Qwilfish's they were took out, and then obviously the tail is a big difference as well. And then the mouth, the whole of the cut in the middle with the different colours, that got changed. So quite a big difference. It kind of looks like a completely different Pokemon in all fairness, but you can see where Qwilfish's idea came from. But yeah, so that is the original design of Qwilfish. Next we have a Raikou and Suicune, whose design got quite far, and it resembles Raikou and Suicune kind of put together. So I don't know if they were just gonna have like the one legendary dog for maybe, I don't know, but again they may have just switched out to the whole three, like Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. I don't know. This could have been like an electric and water type Pokemon. Who knows? That could have been a pretty cool typing. But yeah, so this was the design, and it looks pretty cool. You know what I mean? I do obviously like Suicune and Raikou better separated. Just kind of looks like a fusion of the two. But yeah, that was the original design for these two Pokemon. Next up we have the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire beta, and the main one in this one was Torchic, and the early version of Torchic shows its lower body covered by an eggshell with the fluff going around all around its neck and wing-shaped ears. The other early design is nearly identical to the current Torchic, aside from the large flappy ears and a flame-shaped marking on the back of its head, rather than the final design's flame-shaped feathers on top of its head. So two different designs for Torchic until they finally got the third one, so third time lucky with they went through. Like I say, the first design was just like a fat little chick with the wing-shaped ears, and then the body kind of got closer to Torchic's, and then the ears just got they stayed the same, and then eventually the ears were taken out and it just kind of got like the fluff of head on its top. But as you can see though, quite a long way they had to go through Torchic to get to the final design, but it just makes you appreciate the Pokemon more. Like they could have looked completely different if the people decided to go with the original designs. And then last but not least, we have the Blaziken and Latias combination, which is sometimes referred to as Latisaken or Latican by fans, I don't even know. The early image from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire depicts a creature with traits of both Latias and Blaziken. In appearance, it more closely resembles Blaziken, but some features are more similar to Latias, such as its size, and obviously the face and everything. But this was kind of just like another fusion Pokemon, so like I say, they probably had a lot of fusion Pokemon in the past that they kind of just split up in order to create two separate Pokemon, like we already did have Raikou and Suicune in the earlier in the video, and this is another one of those, but this is kind of like a legendary Pokemon and a star Pokemon, so you don't know what's going through their head. But that is all the ones that I can find that are worth noting in this video. But yeah, so that does wrap up this video. I really hope you did enjoy it as much as I did making it. If you did enjoy the video, then please leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, I would also love to hear your guys' opinions too on this subject. See if you've seen any other Pokemon that were changed throughout the design process. I do also have a couple top 5s coming off the screen in a second, so be sure to give them a watch if you have the time, and also subscribe if you like my content. That's everything from me though, so thanks for watching guys, have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.